It's 5 p.m. on a Monday, December 4th, 2023, and I've just moved them to the 6th of 7 cells on this third row of the rotation that started on the 25th of November. And I noted that the lane is quite narrow here. It's much narrower, about 20 feet narrower than it should be. So should be about 120 feet, but it's about 100 feet. And the reason why it's hard to see, but there's a big tree that's down, and I needed to put the wire through the tree, but I can't do that, so I went to the south side of the tree. And so next section is going to be a little bit bigger. Okay, hopefully the cows won't notice my changes, you know. I hope they don't send me an email or something telling me that I'm doing math wrong. Anyway, yeah, it's about 62 degrees right now. It's nice and cool. The air is dry. It's crisp and clear. This is really autumn. This is what real autumn is supposed to feel like. The grass here is decent. It's not great, but it's pretty dang good. This is low. I need to put a post. I'm going to grab a post. That's too low. So the ground kind of has like a little bit of an elevation change there. And I kind of didn't realize what I had done. Let me go grab a post, stick it in. You guys can see how I put a post in. It's really easy. You'd figure it out if you did this for a couple times. Either you're putting a post on an already existing wire, or you're putting a wire on an already existing post. And there's kind of a right way to do it, like by trial and error. I've kind of arrived at the simplest way to do it. So I'll kind of walk you through what I do, what I'm thinking of. Okay. So the way I measure the wire height is I stand next to it, and it comes up about halfway to my thigh. You can see that's about halfway to my thigh on the post there. And so it's supposed to be about that same height all the way up and down. But if you watch here, it's kind of hard to tell from your vantage point, but I'll kind of show you. So I come to here, and it's halfway up my shin, so it's about 2 or 3 feet too short. Okay, so it's very short here. Let me just show you the boot. You see, I'll just kind of push it over the side. That's how high it is. So what I do is I take the post, and then I kind of twist it to catch it on there. So now I've got the post. Now where do I put the post? Well, so between that post and here, it's basically flat. And then between here and there's an elevation change. And the elevation drops down like right here. You can't tell by how you guys are looking at it. But if I put the post on the edge of the elevation change, which is right here, then there would be a spot just a few feet down where it's much higher than I want it to be. It'll be above my waist. So what I'm going to do is just kind of go back a little bit so it kind of averages out. Okay, so I put the post where I want it, and I put my foot, just kind of sink it into the ground all the way. Okay, that's the best way to do it. Now when I walk along the wire and the elevation, so here it's mid-thigh. Here it's like 2/3 up my thigh. So I'll just kind of show you there. 2/3 up. And then here it goes back to mid-thigh. So it doesn't have a very dramatic change of elevation. You know, so that's kind of how I chose to do that. It's hard to see. It really is. The sun doesn't help. But anyway, and you start to notice these things when you lay out the wire. You can't see it from a distance, and you kind of can't see it when walking around. I mean, you can learn to feel it because you're like walking uphill and downhill. But there's like a ridge that kind of runs north-south here, and it kind of runs north-south there. And it's about a 3 or 4 foot drop. No, about 3 feet drop. Right, and it happens relatively suddenly. So it's noticeable. Ooh, there's some really good grass here. This is the old Bermuda grass from the summer. I guess it hasn't really died in all places. It's still surviving in some places. Anyway, the reason why I didn't have a problem here is because the post ended up being in a good position. It just happened to be in the right spot so that it doesn't, there's not a big elevation drop. Also, it's a little bit flatter here, I guess, is the word. Anyway, yeah, that's just some tips that I've learned. And if there's a better way, I'd do it. But that's kind of the best way that I got. Right now, the wire's at my knee, which is a little bit too low. And then now the elevation's dropping, and so now it's back up to my thigh. So the knee is a little bit too low, but I find the cows don't really cross the wire unless it's about down to my boot, so halfway down my shin. So I don't know what heights those are. I just know on my body that's where they are. You know, I should probably take a tape measure and just mark off on my pants where 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, 4 foot are. You know, yeah, this area has been pretty good. The grass here kind of gets a head start in spring, I think. It just takes off a little faster. I want to find a good spot to film so you can see the whole area without the sun destroying the lens. It does really well in spring. In summertime, it's not that great. It honestly is kind of bad in the summertime. I'm not entirely sure why. One of my thoughts is that it's cool season grass. The summer grass was killed off, or it never took root. So I don't know the exact reason why it doesn't do well in the summer. But it has pretty good cool season grass, and it has decent warm season grass. And the trees are necessary, I would say, in any climate. The fancy word we use is silvopasture. Silvo refers to the forest, and pasture obviously is pasture, right? If you have just pasture alone, which is fine, you can do pasture alone. The thing you're missing out on, though, with the trees is the trees provide some sort of cover in cold and hot weather. So the trees will protect your cows a little bit from the heat, from the cold, and from the wind. Okay, if it's raining, if it's like ice storm outside, the cows will come to the trees naturally and kind of just take shelter from the trees and each other. So the trees are kind of nice. The problem with the trees is the grass under the trees never really grows right. It doesn't grow that well. And in the summertime, the cows hang out under the trees, and that's where they deposit all the manure. So we're putting the manure in the wrong spot. Okay, and there's a couple solutions to that problem. By solution, I mean making those problems not so bad. One of the solutions, Greg Judy's a fan of this, is to not let them graze in the tree line unless the weather demands it, right? So you just basically don't let them come into the woods or near the trees. You rope off the trees. You can't go under the trees unless it's burning hot outside or unless it's freezing rain, right? And so you just basically leave it alone, let it grow. It's never going to grow as fast as the pasture. It doesn't have access to direct sunlight, and that's fine. So that way you get a little bit better growth, but you have to cut off entire sections of your field from grazing, right? Which could be good or could be bad, okay? In my case, that's bad because I have a perfect rectangle of a field, and any deviation from rectangular mechanical computed motions it kind of throws a gear in all the wheels and makes my planning difficult. Okay, I could sit down with a piece of graph paper, overlaid a satellite image of my property, and kind of calculate out like how much acreage I have that isn't covered by trees, that I feel comfortable grazing them in good weather. And but it's just too much math. You know, I'm too much of a perfectionist to let that work. Maybe when I gain more confidence in the ground and the cows, and oh my goodness, 10, you have a huge belly. Look at your belly, it's so huge. That's a good sign. Number 10 is a trooper. Anyway, that's kind of the story there. Hey, number 11. Young 11. I tagged, you're the 11th cow that I tagged. 11th calf. So, yeah. Hopefully you give me a calf this year. Are you going to give me a calf in March? Okay. No comment, huh? Just wait and see. Number 19. I haven't seen number 19 for a while. Number 19 is a really good cow. Awesome musculature, muscles, good condition. And number 19 is probably my second best cow in the herd in terms of condition. Plus, number 19 gave me a calf that didn't die. So, number 19 is probably my top performing cow. If I had a whole herd of number 19s, I think I would be pretty happy. So, and then 24 obviously is my worst cow. There she is. Look at 24. You can barely see the ribs anymore. My goodness. And she's standing at such an angle in the light that the ribs should be pronounced, but they're not. Number 24 is putting weight on. I didn't do anything. I was thinking of getting the, like separating her out and giving her the deworming food, right? But I don't see a point to that now. If she's fattening up, which she is, 100% she is. Like she's even better than when I looked at her yesterday. Number 24, you go girl. My goodness. By the time winter comes in full blow, you might actually look pretty good. So, yeah. Huh. If she gives me a beautiful calf this year, then I will be glad that I kept her. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. Beautiful weather. It honestly feels like autumn. So we go from hot to cold weather. It just alternates. It's either hot or cold, not in between. But now it feels like we're finally in between, where we're getting that dry, crisp autumn, you know, that everybody wants, everybody expects, you know. And the leaves are basically gone. There's just not a lot of leaves up there anymore. So we've already lost all the leaves on the trees. Yeah, there's not a lot of trees with many leaves on them anymore. So the trees have already given up. They've decided that it was time to poop their leaves off. And we're here. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.